G'day everyone, I'm finally back to working on the bus after having to take time off to rest my dodgy elbow. I'm starting to get back into it, and I think where I left off last time I'd managed to get one window back in the bus. So today I'm hoping to get the rest of the windows back in. So I've got all my windows here ready to go. I've got my supply of mastic ready to go, and I've got my dad to help me lift them up onto the bus. So hopefully we'll get them all done today. So this is the stuff I'm using to refit the windows. It's called Sally's D-Mastic. Comes in tubes like this. They're about $16 or so each. And what I did was I ran a bead of this stuff all the way around the edge of the window frame. And I also put a bead around the edge where the window was going to attach to the side of the bus. And then Dad and I carefully lifted the windows up into place. And I got Dad to hold it and support it from the outside just to stop the window falling backwards, while I went inside the bus and reattached the clips that hold the window frame onto the side of the bus. Well, this is what she looks like now with all the windows back in. Looks alright from the outside. So I've just got to go around the edges now and clean up all this extra mastic that was pushed out from the edges of the frame. It's pretty messy. It's going to take me a while to clean all that up. But once that's done, it should look good. And then the real test will come when I see whether I've got any leaks or not. Cleaning all the excess mastic off the inside was such a pain, and I don't know if it's because I just used too much mastic to put the windows back in. Like, I'm sure you're not supposed to have this much kind of oozing out, but anyway, it was pretty messy to clean up. But the way I did it was I just used paper towel because I would have had to go through so many rags otherwise. So I used the paper towel just to mop up as much of the excess as I could first, and then I used Terps to clean up the rest of it and get the frames all nice and clean again. And then there were bits of mastic that had actually gone down into the frame where the windows slide. So in order to get that out, I actually used cotton buds, and I found that that was the best way for me to actually get down into the crevices of the frame and remove the excess that way. It's been a couple of days since I got all the windows back in, which means the mastic's had about 48 hours or so to cure a little bit. So I took the bus out into the paddock today to give it a test to see if the windows leak. Good news is, so far on the initial test, it seems like the windows don't leak. Yay. But the bloody tail light does. So not the first tail light that I fixed. It's all still really good, watertight, no water getting in at all. But the one that I had to order the replacement for, this is really the first chance I've had to properly test it, and it just pours in water. It seems to be getting in from the top. I tried taking the whole thing off. I checked the rubber gasket. It wasn't twisted or caught up anywhere. It all seemed to be sitting fine. I put it back in, hosed it again, and again, water getting in the same spot. So that's really frustrating because that is a brand new tail light. Don't know really what else I can do to improve the fit of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plaster the edges in Sika and get it all watertight that way. So it'd be a bit of a pain to get it off down the track if I ever need to replace that tail light casing again. Hopefully I won't have to. If I do, it just means I've got to cut through the Sika to get it off. But you know, I can't afford to have water coming into the back of the bus again and rotting my brand new plywood floor. So that's the plan. So I'm going to get that hopefully all sealed up today. I'm going to leave it to cure for 24 hours or so, and then try again with the water test. So this is where the water was coming in, down in behind here somewhere. It does feel like the body has a little bit of a dent in it here, and there are a lot of dents and scratches on this bus from the previous owner. So I suspect maybe the body's just a little bit out of shape there, and that's why it's not sitting quite as flush in that spot. I don't know, but anyway, my plan is I'm going to try and put a really good bead of Sika all the way in that gap along the top there, and probably down the sides as well. Just do the whole thing, and hopefully that'll fix it.
It's not your fault and you don't deserve all the bad and the hurt. I know you tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight. It'll be alright.
Okay, well, it's a bit rough because I suck at doing sealant neatly, but I've sealed all the way along there and up the side there, and I've also on the inside of the door I've also sickered as much as I could down that edge. I'm just going to leave it at that for now, let it cure, and test it again in a couple of days' time. So before, you could see water actually running down from the top here, and there was a huge pool of water like sitting in the base of the frame here. But now, after putting the sicker around the edges, there is absolutely no water in here at all. It is as dry as a chip. So it looks as though the sicker has worked, and so the tail light is fixed. So I can confidently say now that the taillights are finally fixed and they don't leak. They both seem nice and watertight, yay! And because there was no water getting in through them now, I then went and gave the windows another really good test. So I blasted them from all angles with the hose. So far, they actually seem pretty good. I was worried about one window in particular on the passenger side. It looked like there was water getting in from the top, dripping down onto the floor in the bus on the inside. And at first I thought I was going to have to take the whole window off and redo it. But after a little bit more testing, I actually realised it wasn't coming in through the top of the window where the windows joined onto the bus. It's actually coming through the top of the center bar, that bar that goes between the two glass panels. And if you remember, on the back of that bar, there's actually like a V-shaped rubber seal, and that seal can actually move up and down on the bar. And I just realised that it wasn't quite pushed all the way to the top, so there was a little gap at the top of that rubber, and that's where the water was actually getting in when I angled the hose from that direction. So all I did was I just adjusted that rubber seal and pushed it all the way to the top so there was no gap. Tested it again, and there's absolutely no water getting in, so it looks like I've fixed that. I don't have to pull the window out. There were 3 other windows, so pretty much all the windows on the driver's side, I noticed that there was a little bit of water you could see within the folds of the rubber seal at the front of the window on the inside. And at first I was a bit worried about that, but it's only a small amount. So at first it was a little bit hard to tell where that was coming from, because all around the edge of the window where it attaches to the bus was completely dry, so there's not any water getting in behind the mastic seal at all. There wasn't any water that I could tell coming in through the center bar like it was on the other side. So I think what's actually happening there is on the back half of the window, because that back panel, glass panel, is sort of further inset into the window, the rubber seal on the back part of the window at the bottom is actually exposed to the outside, and so water can obviously get in there. And I think what's happening is it's just getting in there and running down like under the seal in that sort of gutter, the bottom of the window towards the front, and it's just so then you can see it on the inside there. There's actually drainage holes all the way along the bottom of the window frame, where that water's obviously supposed to drain out. So I think it's probably a normal thing. And in fact, you know, a few minutes after I first saw it, it looked like it was all draining away pretty quickly. So I'm not going to stress too much about that. Obviously, it's something I'll keep an eye on. I was really blasting the windows with the hose, so there's probably more water getting in there than what would normally get in there just from rain. I'm just going to regularly check the drainage holes to make sure that they're all draining freely and not clogged up. I'll keep an eye on it, but doesn't look like there's any water actually getting in on the inside of the window, like to affect anything inside the bus. So I'm going to say that at the moment it looks like the windows are all pretty good. I certainly don't have to take any of them out and redo them, which is a relief. So I am going to call the window job finished. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing with the bus is I'm actually going to be taking it into town to get some work done on it, because I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos there is a little bit of rust around the windscreen that I want to get fixed. And also the driver's door doesn't shut properly, so it needs some adjustment. So I'm going to go and take it in and get that fixed. And while it's in there, they're also going to do all the window tinting for me. So that's hopefully getting done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And there really isn't a lot I can get done on the bus before then, because they'll probably make a little bit of a mess, you know, doing that work on the inside at the front. So I'm not going to do anything else on the bus until it comes back from the repairer. And then the next thing that I'm going to do after that is I'm going to be installing the roof fans and some other things in the roof. So I've still got a few bits and pieces to do on the outside before I can get to the inside, but getting the windows done is a huge job and I'm really happy, and it's another big job to have ticked off the list.